We're talking about women now. Let's go straight to Nigeria's women athletes who have recently dominated African sports, winning major titles in basketball and, of course, football.
That's right. Nigeria's the Tigers secured their 5th consecutive women's AfroBasket title, while the Super Falcons clinched their 10th Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON title after defeating the host nation, Morocco. Despite these continental victories, players grapple with issues such as lack of appropriate league structure, unpaid bonuses, unequal compensation compared to male counterparts, and more. Super Falcon players were notably silent on pay-related questions during their celebratory return to Abuja last month, highlighting a culture of fears of speaking up among athletes. Both football and basketball teams reportedly rely on inconsistent match bonuses and training camp allowances, with federations often denying wrongdoing. Critics say that this discourages transparency and undermines motivation. We're joined this morning to discuss the matter surrounding Nigeria's female sports teams by News Central's sports analyst, Babatunde Koiki. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
To have you.
Head of sports
guys.
is beyond
Yeah, I know,
Thank you very much. Who honor is due. While we're giving the Falcons and the Tigers flowers, let's give you your flowers as well.
Thank you.
Our head of
I didn't know the entire
But there's no ON that follows these flowers.
Unfortunately.
No $100,000, no flat, no OON.
editor of Sports Desk.
Okay.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for joining us. So I think yesterday when we started the conversation about this, we congratulated them, but we highlighted the fact that unfortunately what it seems is that Nigeria tends to reward the end result and ignore the process. Do you agree with that? And if yes, can you expand on that?
Absolutely, absolutely. You couldn't have put it in better words. This same team, their preparation to ahead of this tournament was nothing to write home about. Just before they came for this tournament, they had actually just played 2 friendly matches the entire year. And that was one against Cameroon and another one against Portugal. And those are 2 friendly matches in an entire span of 6 months, which ordinarily shouldn't be optimal preparation for any team. You also talk about unpaid bonuses that date back as far back as 2021. Match bonuses, camp allowances that have remained unpaid. And like you rightly said in your intro, there is a culture of silence because there is also victimization. Players in the past who have made it a point of duty to speak out,
they've been blacklisted.
they've been blacklisted, completely removed from the team. They were never called up again. So you can understand why many of these athletes would prefer to say nothing and hope for the best, which is unfortunate.
I mean, in 2022, the Tigers wrote an open letter over unpaid allowances and poor treatment. They were blacklisted, like you said, by the federation. What does that say about the sports ministry and federations? And is this monetary gift and the largesse that was showered on them, is it a sort of sports washing away from, is it a distraction from the issues at hand? Do you think the government should have holistically looked at the bigger picture that will benefit the whole country and the whole sporting ecosystem?
I totally agree. Now, it's interesting that you should say that because just last year, I did a report on the National Stadium, Surulere, the complete collapse and dilapidated nature of that particular edifice. It has remained abandoned for the last almost 2 decades now. Everything is wrong with it. The pitch is gone, the stands are gone, the roof is gone, the floodlights, one of them came crashing down during the windstorm. They had to remove the other 3. It just goes to show you that we just pay lip service to the things that truly matter, the things that matter on the road to true success. And like you rightly said, it's sports washing because everybody's really, really happy to wheel out the chair, the celebratory notes and say, hey, oh, we are happy to do this, but nobody ever really investigates how this was achieved. And it's the same not only for basketball, but also for every single sport you can think of. Football, boxing, tennis, table tennis, weightlifting. I mean, some of these athletes train in some of the most Spartan conditions imaginable. And the issue here really is we have a very flawed reward system in Nigeria. You look at athletes who...
Flawed?
Yeah.
Didn't they just collect
Hold on. A lot of people are asking this because these athletes played 5 games. 5 games, they were unbeaten and they won the championship. Fantastic. They won $100,000 for their efforts, also got OONs and also got 3-bedroom flats. You ask yourself, what about servicemen? People who put their lives on the line every day, day in, day out for Nigeria. in Sambisa Forest, in different theaters of war, do they get the same kind of recognition? What about policemen? We saw the other day policemen were, agitating for better welfare for retired policemen. The soldiers also protesting the other day. You also look at ex-governors and politicians who also allocate king's ransoms to themselves when they retire. I mean, you have like 6 cars every 3 years, a house in Abuja, a house in Lagos, you get furniture allowance, you get 300% of your salary. It's a very flawed reward system. And you look at this and you wonder, how is this sustainable?
Good question.
It's a big one. But I do recall, I mean, just off the mention, myself and Tunde used to work in the sports. We've been doing sports for decades. I can remember from decades time immemorial. I can remember from Where's the Money, from the likes of the Kashimawola Local who put their life on the line in the football academy. Remember, we could go and mention names of sports persons where they've given all to the country and yet they get promises, but it never happens. While we're talking about this, I also mentioned one very critical condition, which I think we've also covered years ago. The basketball league, because of its defunct process, they now have to take some teams and then form a little competition, which of course you have to cover. Now we're celebrating victory for the girls. What happens to the league? If you go to the National Stadium, now I'm sure we have some young girls whose hope and aspirations are, I want to be the future Leicester, I want to be the future ABC and so on, but nothing is happening. Do you think that a hope will come for these ones, especially looking at the fact that they've seen their girls, senior girls, receive this kind of money?
So that's the thing.
Is there hope for them?
When you see this kind of reward system for many of these athletes, that's where the belief that joy is coming is planted into their minds, because they see what these people have achieved on the back of so little investment, so little support, in spite of everything. And that is why they continue to have hope. You talk about the Nigerian Basketball League, both for men and women. It's absolutely nonsense. Both of them are not exactly competitive. They're not the very best that you can have or you should have. And that is why you see that 8 of the 12 players on that Tigers team are foreigners. But I wouldn't say foreigners, but they're Nigerian Americans. Yeah. At least 8 of them of that roster are Nigerians who are born and raised in the diaspora. Because if you were to pick entirely from a Nigerian league, they'll be beaten black and blue. They'll be beaten like a talking drum. Not because they don't have the quality, but because the facilities are not the best, the coaching is not the best, the reward system and support system is not the best. How do you expect to harvest fresh fish from polluted waters?
Okay, now you've also raised very key points. First of all, talking about the fact that these athletes are not able to speak about the challenges they go through because they do not want to be blacklisted.
Very true.
So where does the bulk of the responsibility lie? Who are the ones that are meant to speak out? What are the areas? You've talked about the national sports. Was it the stadium you mentioned?
Yeah, National Stadium.
National Stadium. So on whose shoulder, which sectors, who are the players?
Sports administrators.
The administrators, the stakeholders that need to be held responsible if we are going to see a turnaround in Nigeria's sports sector.
Well, hold your thoughts. We have a quick break, and when we come back, you'd answer that question. You're welcome back to Breakfast Central here on News Central Television, and we're x-raying sports administration in Nigeria in the wake of the success of the Falcons and also the Tigress winning the AfroBasket. And we have with us editor sports team at News Central, Mr. Babatunde Koiki. Interesting conversation we've had so far. Olive asked a question
before we went on the break. On whose shoulder lies the responsibility to fix Nigeria's sports sector? I mean, if you say that the players can't speak up because of the fear of being blacklisted, so who should speak up, and what are the steps we expect them to take?
So the thing is, the players, the individuals involved must continue to speak up. We cannot continue a culture of silence because I think it was Wale Soyinka who says a man died in every man who keeps quiet in the face of tyranny. We must always continue to speak up and speak the truth, confront the establishment when they are not doing things right. It's very important, very imperative that players' voices and coaches must not be silenced. Having said that, the authorities also need to do better. There's so much that they need to be up and doing in order to change the fortunes of Nigerian sports. The Ministry of Sports used to have, I think, was a 35 billion naira budget, but now it's been quadrupled. I think their budget now is almost 300 million or 400 million now. So there is much more money to do more things. But the question is, are they doing the things that they're supposed to be doing? A lot of these athletes and a lot of these sports still require support, training grants for individual athletes as well, proper preparation for team sports. Are these being done? We just like to, like I said, we like the flash. We like when they win and everybody comes out to celebrate. But what was done in the process to getting where they are? That is the key question.
I mean, and this problem didn't just start now.
No, it
Way
didn't.
back in the military regime, I remember Chief M.K. Abiola, the late Chief M.K. Abiola, at some point had to drive a bus to move one of the teams that was playing continental club sites in Congo.
It was his club.
Yes, Abiola. And it was pillar of sports. He used to come in where there was monetary shortfall. Westerhoff had to go and
Those were
talk
administrators
to...
who are selfless,
Yes.
who are willing to do over and beyond what was
Westerhoff
necessary.
had to find a way to get to Abuja directly through Augustus Ikomo.
He cut through the red tape.
To cut through the red tape to get funding. What's the global best practice for sports administration? Because it cuts across board. Even the golden child that is football, that we all celebrate, is still suffering from its own issues. This is highly dysfunctional. It's been going on for years. What do we need to do to break this cycle?
First and foremost, you have to really decide the place of sports in the Nigerian system. People still see sports as play, something just to keep the people distracted. People don't see it as the multi-billion-dollar business that it can be. I give you a case in point. When Nigeria went to play against Rwanda in the FIFA World Cup qualifier just a few months ago, Nigerians flew in from all across the world to Rwanda, to Kigali, to watch that match. Interestingly, they were selling executive boxes for $2,500. Nigerians bought it out. When people saw that, look, these people are buying out everything, they jacked the price up to $4,000. Nigerians still bought it out. Imagine if you had a proper economy, sports economy, where you had a very solid, very competitive team, you had an excellent stadium with the kind of facilities that can attract visitors from worldwide. People actually put it on their calendar and say, look, Nigeria is playing at home on the 25th of July, I'm going to be there, I'm not available. Imagine the kind of returns that you will have. It's a domino effect. But these people do not see it for what it is. Because I honestly believe they don't have the capacity. Look at, well, you can say that Saudi Arabia have the bottomless pockets, and they can basically do anything that they want. But the thing about it is that they are very deliberate about what they're doing. They understand that oil is finite, and they must now start moving their economy beyond oil. We don't recognize that yet. And that is where the problem lies. If we do have, Nigeria is well located, right center in our heart of Africa, 6 hours away from Europe.
You're not even talking about the population.
The population.
But that's ambitious. You have to give it to us.
But you have to
want to host F1.
Yes, but
let me also ask. There's this conversation that ex-internationals should actually come and run the various sporting codes, because it seems like politicians have lynched their fingers.
Your ex-internationals are running sports clubs and sports commissions. We had 4 former Super Eagles coaches who handled the Super Eagles. How well did they do?
Stephen Keshi, the late Stephen Keshi did very well.
He's an outlier. Anybody else?
He did very well.
Anybody else?
Let's give it.
That's the problem. Look, it's one thing to be an ex-international. Well, you must also be qualified to do so. You must have administrative experience. You must also have the proper grounding. It's one thing to be a player, it's another thing to be an administrator. And that is where we get it twisted. Oh, he's a former international, we should give him the job. No, it doesn't work like that. You mentioned Kanu Nwankwo. Ever since he's taken over at Enyimba, nobody can actually come out and say that Enyimba is better for it.
Brown Day was on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
Money.
But now let's talk about.
And they said we put you in 3-star hotel, pay you 1 million. Meanwhile, you scored only 5 goals.
Let me confess,
dragging themselves on social media.
Back in the years, when I had hopes of playing
your semi-pro
in FIBA and then obviously getting to the NBA, one of the biggest discouragement for me was the fact that, apart from knee injuries, I found out that each basketball player back then, whether you're playing for Royal Hoopers, you're playing for Dodder Warriors, you're playing for Lagos Islanders, These guys were getting 2,500 naira for a whole week, and then you have to buy you get one trainers for a whole season. And then you contribute to buy your jersey. And I said, wow.
So you're paying things out of your
but
paying
then
for
again,
out of pocket.
Do you understand? So where are we saying that Nigeria's sporting sector, or let's just say the president, what can the president even do? Let's even take it to the president.
The honest truth, I
Since he
think,
loves sports.
The honest truth is government cannot do everything. And in Nigeria, government has not shown a capacity to run anything successfully or run it.
True.
I agree. NNPC.
Name one government, whether was it the old NEPA or NITEL, I can't think of anyone that they've been able to run. So the issue here is, what does government do? And it's very simple. Create an enabling environment where private individuals can come in, run things, and make it more competitive and more compelling. Government, you look at the Nigeria Premier Football League now. 18 clubs, 18 as of last season, 18 of the clubs were owned by government. Are they well run? We've actually had players, ex-players who came onto the show and on our shows, and we were asking them, you play for government clubs and you play for private clubs. Which one was better? They'll tell you, bros, that private club now be Babao. Because the government clubs, things are just run at the whim and caprice of either the commissioner or the governor.
All right. I want us to still come back to this story about the win of the Tigress. And, I mean, we can talk here about the fact that this win is great, but like we've been expanding, Nigeria or the government has been focused on the end result and not following through with the process. What are those in the sporting sector saying? Are they excited about these rewards? Do they think, oh, this is great? Or has it also been met with criticism from those within the sector? It
has been met with a tremendous amount of criticism. I can tell you as a matter of fact. There has been some optimism because, you look at the fact that just recently in Nigeria, one of Nigeria's finest athletes, Favour Philly, her head has been turned. She's been offered Turkish citizenship and a $500,000, I think it was sign-on fee in quotes. But if you can show Nigerian athletes that there is a reward for excellence for your country, maybe it might change the minds of people who are also considering changing nationality. I can tell you for free that there are no fewer than 10 Nigerian athletes who are now currently fielding offers from places like Turkey, Bahrain, and Qatar. Right now, Nigerian athletes. And you cannot blame them because they look at what it is that they are getting now and what they could possibly get. You now look at the same ecosystem as well. Now, these same players, let's be clear about one thing. These same players that you talk about in the Tigress, the 8 American-born players, they are going to pay tax on that $100,000.
Well,
they are going to pay at least.
That's when they receive it.
That's when they receive it.
What if they have a bank account in Nigeria?
Yeah, well, that's another thing. And then also I say that, look, 150 million naira. It's never been done before for any athlete in Nigeria. Never. And why are you paying them in dollars? Why not pay them naira?
That's another thing.
So if you want, we keep talking, paying lip. So it's coming from government all over again. We keep paying lip service to building Nigeria, growing the naira, buy Nigeria. Look, if I pay you 150 million naira, I want to turn it into the dollars. That's your business. Go and meet the Bureau de Change at the bank. But giving them dollars also does not exactly send out the right signal as well. So there's so many issues that I believe government can still handle and should handle.
Now, let's look at some of the positives that we've witnessed in sports administration and sports in general in Nigeria in the last few years. There's a private run club. I mean, they fly their players to games. They don't have to drive away from football club. They don't have to, not nightclub. Yeah, they don't have to drive from Lagos to Kano. They've set the standard that, look, these things can be done. They have a growing fan base. And they emerge as league winners. Can you tell us the Remo Stars story and how that could be an outlier to spur other individuals and investors into going into the sports industry, invested? Now,
the Remo Stars story is an amazing one. This is a club that's owned by a very wealthy individual. His name is Kule Shoname. And he looked at the Nigerian sports system and decided that, look, it's sustainable if you do it right. So, believe it or not, he has 3 football clubs. He has Remo Stars, he has Remo Stars Ladies, and he also has Beyond Limit Football Academy. Now, Beyond Limit Football Academy, believe it or not, is the jewel in the crown. It's an academy of young, talented Nigerian players who are courted by some of the finest clubs in Europe.
It's now, like Nigeria's Clairefontaine.
Basically, yeah. So, imagine if you have 10 players. And I think last year alone, he sold like 10 players. Sell 10 players to Europe, you have the sell-on clause there, but the minimum of them is sold for like $100,000. Wow. That's $1 million. Now that's 1.5 billion. To run a Nigerian Premier Football League club in a season costs between 350 million to 450 million naira. You already see where this is going. By using the academy, he's making enough money to sustain all three teams, the academy, the women's team, and Remo Stars. So it doesn't take rocket science. It just takes proper planning and critical
But how
thinking.
does that translate to top performance from the team? Because they're league winners.
They're league winners because, one, they have the finances to buy or hire some of the best players and coaches in Nigeria. They also have their own facilities, which means that they're not paying ground rents to some government or state government, so somebody's pocketing the money. And they also, because of their private sector, you know, their benchmarks, their KPIs, things you never really find in government. So this is why there's this culture of excellence, because there are proper safeguards and measurement mechanisms put into every single link in the chain. And that's why you can see that they are Nigerian champions. And that is why a lot of other clubs are trying to replicate the Remo Stars model.
I hope one day they would do like Chelsea and win the FIFA Club World.
Relax, Benga, we're getting there.
Let them win the CAF Champions League first.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
The sports game on, and not forgetting to,
In the game
as well.
1 p.m.
In the game, and something happened recently. There was a time change.
Yes.
So you want to tell?
Yes, so Game On has actually changed from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's now changed to 10 to 11. Still as effervescent as ever.
Yes,
So,
my
goodness.
favorite segment is Before We Go.
But before we go, hold on. Let me
Are you in the game?
That's a very loaded question.
But let me do it. But before we go, thank you, Tunde, for coming. We have the news up next.